Hello everybody, in this video I'm going to be showing you how to create a scrolling background with a parallax effect for your 2D games in Unity. This is the effect that we'll be creating in this video. As you can see, as the character moves around the screen, different elements of the screen move at different speeds, creating the illusion of depth. Additionally, instead of actually moving the background elements in the scene, we are simply changing the X offset of the image, which means that our background can scroll forever and you won't have to copy and paste copies of the background image all over your scene. This script only works for scrolling on the x-axis or horizontal axis. However, it could be easily modified to allow for scrolling on the y-axis too. The first thing that you're going to need to create this effect is some background images. These are some pixel art backgrounds that I made, which you can find the link to in the description if you want to follow along, or you can make some of your own. The important thing is that your background is split into multiple layers so that we can scroll each one at a different speed and create the illusion of depth. To import these backgrounds into Unity, create a folder and name it Sprites, and then shift select each background and drag it into the folder in Unity. Shift select all of the newly created sprite assets, change the pixels per unit to whatever size the tiles are in your game, in my case it's 8, or just leave it at 100, change the mesh type to full rect, change wrap mode to repeat, and if you're using pixel art, change filter mode to point and compression to none. Now that we have our backgrounds imported into Unity, we can now add them to our scene. Right-click on the main camera, select Create, Empty, and name the new game object Backgrounds. Now drag each of our background sprites onto the newly created object. If you need to, increase the scale of your background images so that they fill the whole screen. Arrange your backgrounds in the hierarchy so that the furthest back is at the top and that the closest to the camera is at the bottom. Then change the order in layer setting on each background image so that the image at the top has the lowest order in layer and the one at the bottom has the highest. Now that we've set up our scene, we can start coding the script. Create a new folder in the Assets folder and call it Scripts. Right-click inside the Scripts folder and hit Create C# script and name it Background Scrolling. Double-click it to open it up in the code editor of your choice. I'm using Visual Studio Code for this tutorial. Delete the start and update functions and the two using.system tags. First, we are going to create a new class so that we can store data relating to each of our background elements. Above the public class line, write system.serializable. This tag will allow us to see our class in the editor. Beneath this, write public class background element and add a pair of curly brackets. Inside the curly brackets, write public sprite renderer background sprite, public float scroll speed, and public material sprite material. Before moving on, we're going to add two other tags to our variables. The first is the range tag, which we can add to our scroll speed variable by writing open bracket, range, open parentheses, 0, 1, close parentheses, close bracket. This tag will clamp the range of the scroll speed variable between 0 and 1, making it easier to edit the speed in the inspector. We are also going to add a hide in inspector tag to our sprite material, since we don't need to see this variable in the editor. Now that we've set up a new class to store our background elements, we are going to turn our attention to the main script itself. Start by writing private constant float scroll underscore multiplier equals 0.01f. This variable will be used to make the scroll speed of our backgrounds more reasonable. You can change this to whatever you like, but for the purposes of this video, I find that 0.01 works very well. Next, write serialize field, private background element, open bracket, close bracket, background elements. This is going to create an array of the background element objects we made earlier that we can edit in the inspector. Create a start function, and within it write for each background element in background elements, and add a pair of curly brackets. This piece of code will loop through each of the background elements and let us do things with them. Inside the curly brackets, write element.spriteMaterial equals element.backgroundsprite.material. This will assign the material of each background to a variable so that we can edit its properties later. Next, create an update function and copy over our loop from the start function. Delete the sprite material assignment code and write element.sprite_material.main_texture_offset equals new vector2 transform.position.x multiplied by element scroll speed multiplied by scroll multiplier, 0. Each material in Unity has an offset variable which you can edit through script to offset the texture on the sprite being rendered. As we move around the camera, the X offset of our background elements will change at different speeds depending on what we set the scroll speed variable to. Back in Unity, click on the Backgrounds game object and add our newly created script to it. Hit the plus button and add an entry for each of the background elements in your scene. Assign the sprite renderers of each to the corresponding element in the array and change the scroll speed to whatever you want. A scroll speed of 0 means the background won't move at all, and a scroll speed of 1 means the background will move very quickly. Typically, background elements further away will move more slowly than those close to the camera. Just like that, we've created a fully functional Parallax background script which you can use in your 2D Unity projects. Thanks for watching this video. Leave a like if it helped you and subscribe to my channel for more tutorials. Please leave a comment with any feedback you have or if you need any help.